Felicitations, adventurers! Welcome to Roll for Felicity, where we play serialized one-shots in a multitude of systems with assorted players. And today, I'm here with my good friend Zay, and we're playing I Have the High Ground by Jess Levine, a game that I would say we are kind of uniquely qualified to play. So I'm very excited for this. If you're new here, my name is Taylor. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the producer and often GM of games here at Roll for Felicity. I'm trying to think if there's anything else interesting that I should say about me, but I don't think there is. So I'll throw it over to Zay for you to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Zay, and relevant to today, my brain is full of too much Star Wars. I think that narrows it down pretty simply as far as it goes for me. I guess I also write RPGs, and you can buy those or whatever, but important stuff for today. Too much Star Wars.
You can and should buy them, and links to follow them on Twitter and also on Itch are in chat right now. And also Jess, who wrote the game, is in chat right now. Not to make you nervous or anything, but she says, love to have a brain full of too much Star Wars. You've come to the right place.
Yeah, it's been like this for a long time, and it's never going to get better.
I actually... Before we did, before we started, we were live, we were, kind of, doing tech stuff and going over things. And I was like, I have to stop talking about Star Wars and save some of it for the stream. So yeah, that's the mood that we're in today. There are some different things that if you are in chat that you can do to help the stream. The first one is if there's a moment during the stream that you think would be good to see as a clip on Twitch or to be posted on TikTok, Twitter, whatever. You can use ! marker in chat, which I will do now as an example. That makes a mark in the VOD on Twitch for me to go back and make a clip, because I know making clips is kind of annoying, especially if you're watching on mobile on Twitch. So that's a fun way to help me edit, because it's what I always put off. For this stream, we don't have any tip incentives other than our gratitude, but if you do want to tip, all those tips do go to my guest, Zay. You can use Twitch bits if you'd like. And then finally, the last thing that you can do to help the stream, whether you're watching live now or on YouTube later, congratulations, you're already doing it. Thanks so much for watching us play, and I hope you enjoy what you're about to see. And I'm going to really quickly just talk a little bit about the game that we're playing. We are going to talk about it more because there actually is a thing that they, that Jess says to do in the game, which is read through the rules together out loud. So we'll be doing that in just a moment. But I Have the High Ground by Jess Levine is a two-player game where we will play out the pre-duel confrontation between our two characters. For this game, we've already made some decisions pre-stream. For example, we decided to go with the towering stakes, so the highest possible stakes in the game. And we did decide that our characters have a history between them, maybe kind of a longer history. You can and should get this game for yourself on Itch. Let me do this. Now playing. The link for that is in chat right now. And you should also follow Jess on Twitter. Both those links are in chat. And I believe the PDF of the game on Itch is $8. I was given a PDF of this game by Jess to play on stream, but what she doesn't know is that I actually got Zay a hard copy of this game for their birthday in February. Yeah. So I didn't have a copy myself, but I had already gotten one for them. So, when Jess reached out to me, I was like, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, I would love to play this game. Which takes us to the game itself. And I need to scroll up. So as I mentioned, we'll be taking turns reading aloud some of the rules so that you all know kind of what's going on as you're watching. And actually, let me put this, oops, oh my gosh, I forgot to make it so the zoom stays on top, so everyone just saw the PDF over Zay for a second. Hang on.
That's okay.
That'll just be the rest of the stream is just the PDF over your face. I can't make the PDF small enough to fit on that monitor and also be able to read it, so I'm just going to be looking to the side so you can see my little ray buns. So I Have the High Ground is a short collaborative game for 2 players that tells the story of the duel of posture and wit that occurs between 2 people before the battle itself begins. Your game is not an action-packed fight to the death, but a portrayal of the smoldering tension between 2 individuals about to risk their pride, their reputation, and even their lives.
Yeah, priority acts as a tiebreaker. If both players choose the same standard move, the player with priority wins. Priority is exchanged back and forth each turn. The player with the best score on the Cape rubric on page 9 can choose to be in play with priority or pick the first advantage. If they choose advantage, their opponent gets priority on the first turn.
Each turn, players select one of the 3 standard moves: thrust, feint, parry, or, once per game, a penalty move. The winner scores a point and consults pages 17 to 19 for an explanation of how their victory affects narration. And this is kind of like a rock, paper, scissors situation. So thrust beats feint, indicating that the victor has made an offensive move. Feint beats parry, indicating the victor offered provocation or bait and the loser took it. Parry beats thrust, indicating that the loser offered an aggressive thrust which the victor struck aside to make a powerful counterattack. And penalty moves are acts of severe disrespect that each player can make once per game. Results are based on a 2d6 die roll. Consult pages 20 to 23 for how to use and resolve penalty moves.
Mm-hmm. On the turn that you reach 8 points, your opponent must draw their weapon if they have not already done so. The consequences of drawing a weapon are purely narrative, which should be very tense and dramatic.
When you reach 9 points, you enter the resolution, and your opponent loses their patience. They strike the first blow, ending the game and beginning the battle which follows. The winner retains the right to block, parry, or dodge that blow. And then there is a nice little diagram here to show you what beats what. And then also there is advisement of using safety tools, which Zay and I are using for this game. We've talked about the kind of story we want to tell and the things we do and don't want to see off stream before the game. So I highly encourage that you use safety tools for every game that you play, really. That is the rules summary, which brings us to deciding some things about our character. So since this is a collaborative game, everyone watching will be able to see us. We've decided some things and like made some made some choices that influence what kind of characters we might make, but we haven't nothing set in stone yet. So we did decide on the genre, which is going to be a space opera setting. It's not gonna be Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars.
It's space conflict.
It's space conflict.
Look, we've been doing knockoff Star Wars for like 25 years, so
yeah, maybe longer. Maybe longer than 25 years. Yeah, I mentioned this on Twitter, but Zay and I, not collaborating, but like I messaged them and was like, hey, do you have an idea for what your character name might be? Like, we technically don't we can decide it like during this stream, but if you decide it before stream, I can put it on like the overlay. And they were like, oh yeah, do you want to tell us about your character's name, Zay?
Yeah, my character is Hal Starkiller, because I love to just put as many references as I can in, even if one is only for Taylor and I.
Well, now for everyone.
Now for everyone. That's because Tal is a character I've been playing since I was like 8 years old, with Taylor in a Star Wars and then Star Wars story that we made up.
Yeah.
So
ran around in the backyard playing. And completely like separate from that, I had already decided that my character's name was going to be Padria, which was the character that I have been playing in our Star Wars adjacent make-em-ups from when we were kids. So I'm very excited for this because that adds a lot of like a lot of extra layers to our game, is that we're playing characters that I don't know if you've played Tal recently or written anything about Tal. I have not I have not, probably since I was 15, maybe, or 16, really thought about this character to any great degree. Um, so that's informing our decisions a little bit. And then we also get to decide the stakes, which we did decide are the highest possible stakes: a melee between opposing generals, a Jedi and a Sith clashing lightsabers amidst a ground battle. The entire battles may be won or lost based on the outcome of this fight that we are doing the preamble to. Next, which we talked a little bit about, but we didn't decide before stream, is who our characters are to each other. We each get to choose one or two of the options in the book together. Do you have? I think one of them, "Strangers on the Battlefield," I don't think is what this is, based on what we what we talked about. But do you have an idea of what this is?
I mean, just based on the characters that we're inspired by, former allies is definitely fitting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like there's also a sense of betrayal between our characters,
Yeah.
what we've already talked about.
I think that fits. I think former allies and betrayal is good. So let's go with that. I'll write those down. Okay, former allies, betrayal. And then we can next decide who are our characters. Descriptors establish a basic idea of their personalities and aesthetics. And together, we get to pick one pair of opposites from this table that describe our characters. We also pick one individual descriptor that fits, or that both characters share, and then we individually pick 2 or 3 individual descriptors true about our character. Do you have any thoughts on what the opposites should be? The one pair of opposites.
There's so many good options.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask, do we want to flesh out a little bit more? We've talked as we were setting this up, and we decided to kind of go for 2 characters on opposite sides of an ideological schism.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to set what that conflict is a little bit to see
Yeah, that's kind of, which I almost did this next, so I think that fit before doing the descriptors. But there is a section of exposition, which is just what brings the 2 of you to this particular battlefield today. And we did also talk about the idea that our 2 characters have ended up on, opposing sides of this ideological schism, and that they have been hunting each other, basically, and that kind of is going to set up our pre-conflict conflict that we're going to be playing out. But we didn't really decide what the schism was, or what kind of was up. And I have some vaguish ideas, but nothing really set in stone. Did you have any kind of things you were thinking about that?
The only pitch I've thought of is intervention versus non-intervention
Yeah.
as a divide. But I haven't gone any further than that. What were your thoughts?
I mean, there is a part of me that was thinking something where, which I think this fits with intervention versus non-intervention, because that is very Obi-Wan, Anakin, kind of, when it comes down to it, is the Jedi are kind of non-intervention to a certain degree. So I was thinking maybe something where one of our characters was still holding on to the original cause that they fought for, whereas the other had kind of said I'm not going to be able to get the power I need through that, or not be able to protect the people I need to protect, or do the things that I want to do if I stay with that. So if we're former allies, one of us is still associated with the situation where we were allies, and one of us has moved on from that. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I like that. I think that's fun.
Because that's kind of the Anakin thing, where he's I have to be a Sith or Padme's gonna die.
Right.
you know.
Yeah. No, I think that's fun. Did you have a like? Were you leaning your character towards one side or the other?
Originally I was leaning more towards my character sticking with sticking with the original thing that we were like devoted to. But then when I was getting ready, I was like, honestly, I if that's what we'd go with, I'd kind of be fine with either. Like I think I could, either one could work for me. Is there one that you're more pulled to?
No, same thing. I'm like fine either way. As a like player, I think I'm more drawn towards having picked a new like abandon
Mm-hmm.
our original cause. Um, as a character, just in my recollection of the characters, like would have fit more as like Tal would have been the one to stay with the
That is
original
actually
order.
true. Because my character was like kind of like a hothead, I think.
Right, right. But I'm fine with either one. So,
Yeah.
like I
I
said,
Go ahead.
as a player, I'm more drawn towards like
I kind of like that because then it's like I feel like it's kind of rich to explore like even though we haven't like played either of these characters in forever, like what made them kind of do the opposite of the thing that we as their creators would have expected them to do.
I think
I think
yeah,
that's cool.
I could see that. It like if Tal was seemingly the more devoted one at one point,
Mm.
but is the one who's changed and picked a new direction. And Padria is like, no, this was the right path. That's a pretty interesting like
Yeah. I like
character.
that. I like that. Um, do we decided that we've been like kind of like forced to, I keep saying hunt each other, which just sounds like kind of insane, but I mean it as like, like bounty hunting rather than like I don't know, like prey and and uh predator kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I kind of see it as like both of us, we know we're on opposite sides and this fight is going to happen. And it's been like chasing each other in a way of like trying to stay one step ahead.
yeah. Do you have any thoughts? This is where my mind is like kind of empty. Do you have any thoughts on it might be good to at least have an idea of what the stakes are depending on who wins this fight. So like is it that like if I win then is it as simple as like if one of us is killed then it's just going to be a big blow to our respective causes, or do you think there's something that's like motivating us beyond that? um like I was kind of thinking maybe which is again just me thinking about Star Wars, but like somebody that we care about is like that we both care about is in danger, and so it's like not only do we think that our side is better for like the world at large, but we also think that like the person that we both care about can only be like protected through one side winning over the other.
Hmm. I that is pretty interesting. I like that. Um, what how do we think that works? Like, what is it? Where's that divide? Like what thing does each of us think we're going to do that is going to protect this person? And if you want to give me a second here, I can quickly pull up some other names of
Yeah, go
characters.
for it. The only thing I can remember is someone when we were kids played a character that was a robot that had soup for brains. And I think that's probably not the character that we're both deeply invested in.
Uh,
I feel like
I
maybe that's a
can't
little too
remember if that
silly.
was the same story or not.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that was a thing. Again, we were seven.
Well, I was 8.
Okay. Yeah, because real fittingly, my mother is like cleaning out her house and has pulled out a bunch of like old schoolwork of mine, including bits
Oh.
of writing, so I can. And she sent a screenshot of
Oh
some
my
of it,
gosh.
and
Yes, please.
I can pull up. And as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh wow,
Very apt timing.
right. Well, and also I was like, all of this came rushing back.
I feel like there's a Google Drive somewhere that I don't have the password to, probably, that I have whatever I wrote, but I do not know where it is. Or on my dad has a hard drive, like an external hard drive that has like a bunch of stuff from like our old computers, so it might be on there, but I don't know.
Okay, so I'm just gonna throw some names out here
Uh-huh.
from this
We'll
little
see
bit
if
of
this
writing.
sparks anything in my memory.
Whitlash,
No.
Vanya, Tobias,
Oh, okay.
Granolin. Granolin, I believe, was the suit for Brain's
Okay,
robot.
I was gonna say I only remember some of these names.
And then Aegle, Aegle. That one was probably just made up in the moment. But I
Yeah.
do know that Granolin, and I believe Fanya, Tobias, and Whitlash were also important names in our weird
Like
little story.
our siblings in real life, I think. Generally. Um, do you remember anything about any of those characters or
No,
have anything
not
about
one
them?
thing.
What was the second one? Vanya?
Fanya with an S.
Fanya.
I
That
can throw
one,
that.
the name feels. Whitlash is reminding me too much of like Quiplash or Whiplash, so I feel like it's
Yeah.
not as like. If we're having a scene and we're like, we have to. I'm the only one who cares about Whitlash. I don't know, that might throw me out. And I think Tobias was my brother's character, right?
I think
So
so.
I don't want to.
So
I don't want to. I don't want to do Tobias. So I think we should do that one maybe.
I believe Grenolin was my brother Tyler, so I can just tell him that his character almost came back. Fanya, I don't remember, but
Fania just feels like a name that kind of fits, I think.
good name.
Um, do we want to decide now who Fanya is to us, or do we want to have that come up during during the conversation?
I'm good either way. I think it'd be a. I think as long as we know that there's a connection there with each of us.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we can maybe decide more who Fanya is as we go.
Mhm.
I think that would be good. Okay, cool. So we have kind of a which is, that's Star Wars. We have kind of a nebulous, like, you've found a new cause, that, I don't necessarily agree with. I'm stuck in the old ways. And we both think that only our way can not only, protect the galaxy probably, but also our mutual connection that we care about a lot, Fanya, who we'll decide more about later. Does that help us kind of decide on some descriptors? I feel like that's helpful.
I think, yeah. The ones that stand out to me, again, just playing off the dynamic that I just know we have in these characters. Passionate versus stoic, earnest versus ironic.
Mm.
Um, where's the other? Careful versus reckless, and even articulate versus quiet.
Yeah, those are all pretty good. Um. Passionate versus stoic. Earnest versus ironic. Um. I like earnest versus ironic. I don't know that I would want to play the ironic one. So if you don't want to play one that's more ironic, then I think not that one.
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, we don't have to be tied down to these characters that we invented more than 2 decades ago.
But I actually think we should. I think we should remain very faithful.
We should stay true to the canon as much as
Uh-huh.
possible.
Yeah.
And
There's no
if that's the case,
legends in this. It's all
it's all canon.
it's all canon.
In that case, Tal cannot be ironic. Tal is
Yeah,
earnest.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe then I think I'm leaning more towards careful versus reckless or passionate versus stoic. I think are the two. Do you want to make the
I
final
like
choice? between those two?
I'm gonna say careful versus reckless because I'm cool playing either one of those.
I think now the question is who's careful and who's reckless, because I feel like with the characters as they once were, it would be obvious Tal would be careful and Padre would be reckless. Do we think that's still the same? Or do we think that's switched?
I think it's really interesting to me if it has switched. I just find that like character growth and like that swap pretty interesting. But again,
Yeah.
I'm cool playing either one of those.
I think I'm fine with that. I think Padre being careful versus Tal being reckless, I think works. What is one? Do you have any that are calling to you that we could, an individual descriptor that we both share?
Yeah. Given what we talked about, I like empathetic or passionate
Ooh. Oh,
or
those are
earnest for both of us.
ooh. Those are all good. I like uh I think passionate I think is good. Because then it explains why, if we once were like such good friends and we both care about this other person, like the passion is what is making us like driven to this point, I think, which
Hmm.
makes sense. So we're both passionate, even though, oh whoops, I wrote these down wrong. I wrote you down as careful. Okay, careful, and then we're both passionate. And then we can describe, we can individually pick 2 to 3 individual descriptors true about your character. I don't think these have to be, like, if some of these end up being the same, I don't think that's necessarily a problem.
Hmm.
Ooh, famous versus infamous.
That one's very good.
That is very good. Um, hmm. I still want to kind of have a little bit of that Padria spice to this, so I'm looking for one
Good,
that's
good.
not as. Uh, I'm looking for one that's a little bit more, I don't know, spicy, I guess.
Imposing is there.
Imposing could be good. I also kind of like. Um, I like cunning, I think, for
Cunning's-
Padria.
I'm
Careful and
gonna
cunning.
I'm gonna take underestimated for Tal.
Ooh, yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
that's like very fitting with the characters that we have and like this this scenario we're setting up.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna take utilitarian as the second one for me.
Hmm.
Got lots of pockets, lots of pockets and pouches.
Oh, good. Gotta have pouch.
Gotta have a lot of pouches.
Gotta have pouches. I'm gonna take Ernest, I think, for
Okay,
Tal.
I like
Keep
that.
on that. Yeah.
We can take up to 3. Are there any other ones that you are thinking?
There's so many good
There's a
ones.
lot of really good ones.
I'm trying to
Um,
see if anything else stands out. It's like, oh yes, absolutely this.
maybe wizened. It's funny if only one of us is wizened, even though our characters are like kind of roughly the same
That's
age.
the same
I
age.
guess
Yeah.
wizened is a state of mind.
Yeah. I don't know
You're
if I'm
only
ready.
as wizened as you feel.
I don't know if I'm ready to admit that my character, who is basically just me, would be with it.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
Um, I think for a third one, I will take guarded.
Oh, that's so funny. I was thinking of taking one of those and couldn't decide.
Uh,
So maybe I'll take open book.
I think either one is interesting. Yeah. Again, that's like I think a character shift for Tal.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I like
a
that.
lot's happened in the 15 years since we last played them.
Jess has always loved to take more opposites, love to be foils. It's good. It's good to have a foil.
Very good.
Okay, I think then we can move on to the environment of where our duel takes place. This is the last kind of like worldish setup thing. We do have some character decisions to make, but we choose one adjective from three different or statements to describe the environment of our duel.
Mhm.
I think I like isolated for one.
Ooh, okay.
Um, are there any that you're leaning towards?
Yeah, I think let's just up the drama, I think, as much as possible and go ancient. I think this like
Ooh,
yeah, like maybe even
Yavin Temple.
somebody it's a religious site or some old it's something important. There's an importance to this place.
I like that. Are there any other ones that you are leaning towards? I like some of the weathery ones, like boiling or
Mhm.
freezing is
I
cool.
I almost took freezing. I
Let's
almost
let's do freezing then. I
okay.
think unless you don't want to, unless there's a reason why you decided not to.
No,
We will be wearing capes, so
we will have capes. I'm dressed pretty warmly, so it'll be okay.
we need to, and then we can, like you think that it's snow everywhere, and then someone licks the ground, and it's like actually it's salt, but it is still cold. Okay. That brings us to establishing details about our individual characters. Um, we create our characters simultaneously and interactively to ensure interesting similarities and differences between them, which we've already done a little bit of. Um, I think we can decide for ourselves what our capes look like. And then once we determine, there is a cape rubric, which I love, that determines who gets priority
Yes,
first.
yes,
Which,
kiss.
if
Maybe.
could come down to a roll very easily because we are both wearing capes right now. So, and that is part of the rubric.
I feel like that could be the tiebreak.
That we're
This
both wearing capes.
is it comparing our actual personal cape.
Oh, our personal cape length. If it's our personal cape length, I think you'll win. Or just whose better? Whose cape is better? Is that what you're saying?
Better or length. I do think I have you beat on
You
length.
do. I'm wearing a capelet.
Yeah, mine. Technically, mine is a cloak,
Well
so,
then you're completely
but
disqualified.
it is a Jedi cloak.
Yeah.
So
Okay, you're back in. You're back in. But we can think about our characters' capes. And I think maybe, do you want to discuss our capes beforehand, or do you want them to be dramatically revealed?
you know how much I love drama.
Okay. That's I have to check in.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to ask. I don't want to make assumptions. I think that brings us to advantages. So in what ways does your character have an upper hand in the battle, which will follow your duel? These advantages do not necessarily give you a mechanical edge, provide topics for your character to leverage when flaunting their superiority. Oh, actually, I think we
So
have to
the
determine.
cape, yeah, we have
Yeah, we
to.
have to determine that first. Okay. Um, I think, okay, so I'm just going to say what the cape rubric is so that people know why it's hard to determine. Cape rubric 1 is whoever opted to wear a cape, which I think that is about the characters' capes. Because then the next thing but we are both wearing capes in real life, and I believe both of our characters will be wearing capes. Whichever character's cape is closer to floor length without going over. I will say, as in real life, I do love a capelet, so I was thinking my character would have a capelet, even knowing that would give you priority. So, did you have an idea of how long your character's cape is going to be?
Yeah, I'd settled on that pretty early because I didn't want to like get down to it and try to game it. So yeah, I'd already settled on like mid thigh.
Okay, so I think
I
you
love a
will.
long cape.
I think you will get priority. But I'll read the rest of them. Whichever player owns a cape, which we both do. Whichever player last wore a cape, which is again a tie. And then if we had both decided to make our characters' capes roughly the same length, we would roll a 2d6 to determine who goes first. But I think it makes sense for you to go first. So, do you want to choose first advantage, or do you want priority first? I think that's what the options are. Choose begin the agreement. Yeah. Do you want priority first, or do you want to pick the first advantage?
I'm gonna pick first advantage, I think.
Cool.
And there are
priority on the first round.
And there are such good advantages. I'm leaning to like 2 or 3 and trying to decide which one I want. No, I don't think I want that one. I'm gonna say familiar territory. I think Tal knows this spot.
I like that. I'm gonna pick desperation.
Ooh. Very good. And we both pick 2. I'm gonna say superior weaponry. Just because I like a good weapon.
Should I play the rest of the game like this?
I think you should, and then I also pull up my hood here. We could both just play very dramatically.
I do very limited visibility.
As someone who did play an entire stream with a cloak down over my eyes, that is.
I'll just be like this the whole time. Okay, so you chose superior weaponry. Oh, it would be kind of funny if I picked to be taller than your opponent, because that would be different. That would be pretty different from any dynamic we've ever experienced.
In real life, I do think that our characters in character, your character was taller than mine, because when we invented them.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I probably was taller than you at some point in our history. I think I'm gonna pick that. I think it's just funny. All right, then your opponent. That's both of us with 2 then. And we also get to decide our clothing, our weapon, and our inventory. And do you have any ideas? I think I kind of know a little bit what Padre is wearing, but
I have some like vague ideas. I do know what my cape looks like. As far as clothing goes, I think Tal's is very utilitarian, which I know is a description you picked for your character, but as far as clothing goes,
yeah.
Far fewer pouches. I'm giving you the pouches.
Okay, yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
But I think Tal is wearing like a jumpsuit. Again, too much Star Wars in this head. I'm thinking of Luke on Bespin, like a pretty simple like jumpsuit.
Sorry, I'm looking at I just sent you something, but I think I am missing one of the things that we picked, so hang on a second. I think I mean, do we both, you have superior weaponry, do we both have lightsabers?
That was gonna be my next question too, was like, what exactly is our weapon, and is it just
Is it
Laser
just...
sword.
Yeah, laser swords. If I remember correctly, my character was more of a Han Solo type, and your character was more of a Luke type. Like, your character was, like, had powers. I don't remember if mine did.
I I
Am
think
I...
we went back and forth on whether or not mine had power. Either one of our characters had powers.
It would... Because I think it's cool if we both have lightsabers. It is also kind of cool if one of us has, like, a laser gun and one of us has a lightsaber. I'm fire... Or laser sword, sorry. Don't sue me, Disney. But I feel like I don't necessarily... They're both good in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think for clothing, though, I think I am wearing, like, a thick, but, like, a thick cape, but it's, like, a capelet, and I think it is the kind of cape that has, like, kind of the parts that go over your arm, not, like, you know how, like, sometimes there's, like, sleeves, basically, in a cape? I think that's what it is, because if we're in, like, a freezing place, then it makes sense to be like,
If
okay.
it goes over your shoulders and
Yeah, it's not super long, but it, like, is warm. So I think I've got that. I think I have, like, a kind of, like, scarf or something like that as well under it. Some fingerless gloves that are sci-fi looking, so my fingers are still warm even though they're fingerless gloves. Because I'm utilitarian. Because you can't use a laser pistol with gloves on. And then I think, like, very sleek, like, probably, like, well, actually, I was going to say originally all black, but if we're in, like, a cold environment and we're, like, trying to get the jump on each other, I probably wouldn't be wearing dark clothing. I'd probably be wearing, like, gray, maybe. So, like, some, like, all, like, pretty much all gray with, as mentioned, you know, of course I've got a utility belt, the contents of which may be to be discovered. I think I am gonna go with I think I'm gonna have a laser pistol as my weapon.
Okay.
Which I think sets, if you wanted to have a laser sword, that sets you up for superior weaponry pretty well, because they are, you know, better against...
Yeah, no, I like that. They're like evenly matched enough that either one of us could win this fight.
Yeah.
Has a slight advantage.
Yeah.
Weapon.
All right. So we've specified our weapons, we've specified our clothes, 2 or more items on your person. Definitely will have, well, at least one of the things on my belt will be, like the little thing that Luke has, or is it Luke that has the, like, little, like, when he and Leia, like, swing across the thing and kiss,
Oh,
like the little thing where he just, but isn't that from his belt? Like, he just pushes a button on his belt and it goes, like, zoop, like, up to a thing. If it's not in Star Wars, it is in this.
Okay, yeah.
But is that what it is?
So he uses, God, I'm too much. He uses a thing like that twice, and in A New Hope, when he and Leia swing across the chasm, that might have come from the Stormtrooper belt, because he is still wearing, like,
oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
He also uses one in A New Hope to climb up the at Atwalker.
Yes.
That he does also clip to his belt.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those things on my belt. I'm trying to think of one more item.
So I was on that note. I was already thinking like a grappling gun, just because I think.
Yeah, I love it. We each feel like we gotta be able to grapple.
We gotta grapple. We gotta grapple.
We're gonna be grappling with our feelings, but also with grappling hooks. Is it too much for inventory if I have a little droid? If I've got a little robot, is that too much?
For inventory, no. It does make me mad that I didn't think to do that. I've stolen it, but
I'll just make it be. I'll make it be like the one in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I always forget if it's called, is it called Kenobi? Is that show called Kenobi or Obi-Wan? Because when it was in development, it was like called Kenobi, I think, but then I think they changed it to Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe. Anyway, the little droid that Leia has in that.
Yeah.
That's what
I don't remember, and I don't really want to think about that show anymore, so.
So I have a droid like that, so you'll have to think about the show.
I'll have to think about it a little bit. The best part of it, anyway.
Just as I think the release is Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think that's right. Do you have a second item that you want? Are you gonna also have a grappling gun and a droid?
But mine's slightly clunkier.
You have an R2 unit.
Yeah. No, I'm actually gonna get your input on this. I want to have something that Hadria gave out.
Ooh, that's good. It would probably be something protective then. It would probably be like,
I thought as well.
The first thing I thought it was helmet, but that's kind of that's kind of funny. I feel like if like the whole time you just have like a full helmet on while we're talking. So maybe something smaller than that. Maybe like, I feel like maybe something smallish. Maybe it's something, I guess we didn't even say this. I've been thinking this whole time because our characters, when we made this up, were like, they were older than we were, but they were like 14 or 15 or something like that, I feel like is how old they were. Mm-hmm. In this version, have our characters known each other for that long?
I was assuming somewhere around that. Like, at this point, we've known each other for a long time.
I think if that's the case, then maybe the thing that you have is like some, I don't know, like greaves, is that what they're called? But like something kind of sleek right here, because if I gave them to you when we were much younger, it would be like when I didn't have a lot of resources or something, but I was like, okay, I want you to be like safe. Here's this like little piece of armor that'll like help a little bit at least. So maybe something like that.
Yeah, I like that. Just some protection on my arms, like.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So that's our kind of what our characters look like and what they're wearing and what they're carrying. We can add more things, you know, as they come up, but that's a good start. And then the next thing we decide is the circumstances. I mean, I think we kind of have, we've been like, you know, kind of following each other. And I think it's a situation where one of us knew, like, it's kind of the thing where it's like, we both know that this is where we would go. Like, it's not, like, neither of us have, like, a surprise on each other. Like, neither of us have, like, you know, necessarily, I mean, you have the advantage of this being, like, a place you're really familiar with. But, like, we both know that this is coming, maybe. So it's, like, kind of for show that, like, one of us has pursued the other here, but the one who was pursued, it kind of makes sense for me to have pursued you here, because then you've set, like, this is the place you're familiar with, but also, like, you know this is the place I would, like, follow you to, maybe.
Yeah, I like that idea of, like, we've been kind of chasing each other back and forth, like, trying to get essentially the upper hand.
Yeah.
Or even chasing each other, but trying to avoid the actual confrontation.
That's what I'm thinking for me, maybe it's a little of both.
I like that, like, maybe trying to trap the other one in a scenario where it wouldn't have to come to this.
Yeah.
And it's just reached the point where, like, we both know, whether we want to admit it or not, this is going to happen. We're going to duel. And I think it was just a case where Tal was like, she's coming for me. I'm going to pick
the place,
the ground.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to do it.
I like that. I think maybe if we add, this doesn't have to be like super fleshed out, but maybe there's some kind of time element where it's like, if we don't face each other here on our own terms, then like some upcoming thing, there's going to be like a larger battle where we're both going to be fighting. And it's the kind of thing like, we'd rather do it just the two of us here then face each other on the battlefield or have like someone else like take one of us out. I think that makes
Yeah,
sense for like the
I
stakes.
like that. And maybe whatever this situation with Thanya is getting critical.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Um okay, let me just really quick check what we need to do next. Okay, so we've established the circumstances of our encounter. From here, read the play section and choose a move. Okay. Um so I have
So for
priority.
like, yeah, and for even a more specific opening, I think, because the circumstances give like specific scenes.
Yeah, that's true.
Like elevator door might open or turn a corner and incidentally like eye contact. I want to pitch that whatever this like old temple or old city is that we're in. I like the idea that is like maybe it's not a temple, it's an old city of some like lost civilization.
Yeah, that's cool.
Um, that like you've come looking for me, you know I'm here, and it's a case of like it's real quiet, and I reveal myself by like not intentionally, but like as I'm walking, it like drops some debris down to the ground,
Mhm.
like up on a walk or something, and you turn and like there I am behind you.
Yeah, that's very cool. Um so okay, hang on. Let me just remind myself of what we do. Cuz we're kind of did you have an idea of going off of one of these like kind of so there are some like openings that are like kind of pre-generated. You don't have to use those. It says if you're feeling unsure of what move to start with, you can use one of these pre-established example openings. However, players are encouraged to design their own opening circumstances to begin play with original moves if they feel comfortable doing so. So, do you want? Did you have one of these, like the challenge, the chance encounter, or the trap that you wanted to go for and have those be the opening moves, or did you want
I
to just go to like the play section?
I had not right now. Like I looked at them before. Um, and this does kind of feel like the challenge.
It does kind of feel like the challenge. We could do that. I'm fine with starting with the challenge. This opening designates one character as the challenger and the other as the person they challenged. Within the narrative, the challenged chose the location for the duel. The challenger approaches them there. So that is like kind of what we're like. It's not like we were like, here's the challenge, but it's like kind of we both know that that's what's happening.
Right.
In which case, we've already determined who is which. You would be you would be the challenged because you chose the location and
Yeah.
I would be the challenger. Um, that works. It does say the player who starts without priority is the challenger, which the player with priority is the challenge, which we would be flipping because I think I have priority.
Mm. Yeah.
But I think that's fine. Um, do we
We can
want?
always flip the other way too, and like it could be the same sort of scenario, but you or me challenging you if we want to like stick to those rules.
Um, I feel
I'm
like
fine either way.
yeah. So with these you either answer a question or roll to determine what you do first. Um, and I have to remind myself of what priority does. Oh, priority is just whoever. If people choose the same move, victor goes to challenge with a priority. Okay, so I think. Do you want to answer the question, or do you just want to roll to see what we do first?
I'm good either way. Um, Rolling gets us right into it.
Yeah, let's roll. You can roll. If you get a 1 or a 2, it's a d6. If you get a 1 or a 2, I open aggressively and get a thrust wind. On a 3 to 6, you were prepared and parry my thrust to win the turn.
Cool. I got a 2.
Cool. So I open aggressively and win the turn. So let's go to thrust win on page 17. Which is right here. I guess since I won it, I'll read it. Since this is our first time playing, it's recommended that we like read through these as we go to kind of show us how to play this, what's happening. And then we can kind of get into like narratively what happens once we know kind of what we're doing. So on a thrust win, the victor made an offensive move which hit the loser exactly where it hurts. Thrust beats feint but loses to parry. In a thrust win, the victor's narration should describe a physical action and or dialogue that's imposing, biting, or carefully pierces a tender spot, while the losers should demonstrate their hurt. In the example of a thrust win, the victor takes a firm step inward to which the loser flinches, too intimidated to act. Or the victor may stab with a cunning insult that causes the loser to become visibly upset. The victor may launch into a dazzling retelling of her prowess and marksmanship, but the loser utterly fails to match. So we don't start with, even though the terms and things are all like fencing terms, this is a battle of wits to start with, that ends with us drawing, it ends with us making an attack, and usually right before that drawing a weapon, although you can draw a weapon earlier than that. So I think you described this place that you've come to a little bit, and that maybe it was intended to be a trap, or it was intended for you to like start with a little bit more of the upper hand. But I kind of like the idea that it's snow, that like you're up on like some kind of thing and like knock some snow to the side and it falls, and that's what I notice if we're cold. If we're cold, if we're in a frigid location is what I meant by that. If we're cold, we can do that. So I think I immediately turn to see you. And since you don't start with the high ground, maybe you were like jumping down or something like that. So we're on the same, and you were behind, right? You said you like jumped down behind me in what you were describing.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think I turn. This is so interesting that I win with it starts with us winning with a thrust, because that wasn't what my first move was going to be. So now I'm like, what would I be saying, given that I think if I was losing a thrust, I feel like I would say something like, I knew you would be here. But I think if it's a thrust win, I don't think I'm that like amazing for having known you would be here, because I think we're starting with both of us kind of knowing the score, where it's like, I know you weren't really trying to hide that much, maybe. So maybe this is kind of silly, but I think maybe I'll take advantage of the fact that I'm taller than you with this thrust wind. And I think it's just, we haven't seen each other in a while, and I kind of like immediately like kind of step forward imposingly, and maybe with the win you've like forgotten that I am like physically imposing.
If I can add to that, I think maybe I was like trying to sneak, or if I jumped down, I like landed a little bit crouched.
Mm-hmm.
And if you step forward, like, and raise yourself up to your full height, I do the same and realize like, oh shit. Like you do have a good physical advantage on me.
Yeah. I like that a lot. Calcifer the Halcifer in chat just said, is Zay not 7 feet tall in this RPG? Gasp. It's roleplay. We're playing characters. I'm playing someone. I'm not even short. Like in real life, I'm not like a short person. But in this, I guess I'm especially tall.
Most people are short to me.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I'm short, definitely shorter than you. So yeah, so I kind of step forward and I'm like more physically imposing, and I think I don't even. I'm trying to think of like what I would say, but I almost feel like the first move is like neither of us say anything. It seems like.
I think so. I think like you described as stepping forward and pulling yourself up to your full height. And I think Tal tries to do the same and then realizes like just kind of is intimidated and shrinks back a little bit, like legs spread, a little bit hunched.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think then we can decide what we want our next move to be. It can be a little late short as a treat. Um, I
Right.
think I think then the priority passes to you. This time we'll choose
Okay.
our move secretly. Um, and and then once we've both decided, we'll put them both in the Zoom chat at the same time. Um, and I think I know what I'm going to choose. Do you know what you're choosing for your next move?
I think so. I think so. So we'll type it in our Zoom chat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we'll just send it at the same exact time.
Okay. Okay. I think I've chosen.
Okay. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, send. Oh, okay. So I chose parry, you chose faint. And now I have to remind myself of which wins.
Fate
I
beats
think
Perry.
faint, yeah. So you
Yeah.
win this one. Do you want to read, since this is a faint win, do you want to read the faint win description and example?
Yeah. So Fate win. Fate beats Perry. The victor offered provocation or bait, and the loser took it. Fate beats Perry, but loses a thrust. In a Fate win, the victor hit the loser in an emotional tender spot or took a threatening action, which makes the loser particularly nervous and jumpy. The loser must narrate a significant and vulnerable reaction to the bait. I like making you do that. But remember, the victor still reserves the right to the last narration for the turn.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even
People
mention
I don't
that,
think
but
we've
that's.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh, the whoever wins the turn gets to have the last word
Yeah.
in narration if they want to.
If they want it, yeah.
Yeah, and examples are the victor brings up their opponent's embarrassing loss to the last seeded boxer in the first round of the world tournament, causing the loser to lash out defensively, or that victor might bait them into revealing a vulnerable feeling they've kept secret so far. Um, Alternatively, the victor might fake a reach for her weapon, causing the loser to overreact, or the victor might stutter step towards the loser, causing them to take an embarrassingly unnecessary stride backwards.
Do you have an idea of what the provocation is?
Yeah. I kind of want it to be both like a physical and verbal thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I do think it is kind of an aggressive move towards Padria. Like I'm trying to figure out what exactly the move would look like to intimidate her,
Mm-hmm.
given that she has the like a little bit of the upper hand after the last move.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I like the idea that Tal makes it look like she's going to make a more aggressive move, like is ready to start this fight, or like
Mm-hmm.
doesn't draw her weapon, but like hand drops to her side or something, uh, and maybe makes Hadria like um back up.
Yeah, I think the is there do you think there's something that actually I'll just react to that first and then see if there's something that you want to say. So you kind of make a move to like reach down for a weapon but not actually draw it. And I step back and I think you can see on my expression surprise and like I don't want to say sadness. I don't know if it'd be sadness, but definitely like regret, which is showing you that even though we're here and we've kind of, without communicating, been like, this is it, this is what we're doing, it reveals to you that I'm still not actually ready to fight you. And so, and that I didn't think you were actually ready to fight me. And that I'm like reacting. So I like take a step back and like maybe even like glance to see like a place that I could hide. And you see in that like the vulnerability of, I thought this was still going to be posturing. I didn't think we were actually going to fight.
Yeah, and when you take that step back, that's when like Tal like straightens back up and just says, "You're never as ready for a fight as you pretend you are."
Do you want that to be the last word? Or do you want me to
If you have a
respond?
response,
I don't have one. Not off the this is what I'm worried about playing this game, is that I am not going to have interesting enough things to say.
oh, funny. Also, my word, which is really
Oh,
funny because
good.
if we're not playing a game, it's just banter. So,
Uh, I kind of like that does feel like a last word, because like what I can't think of anything that I could say defensively to that that's not kind of like doing something more aggressive, you know what I mean? Which doesn't, I don't think fits like what the win is. Also, we
yeah,
should.
I mean, like,
I forgot that we're
not,
keeping score. I should probably
I
do
was going
that.
to ask if you were. tracking, but
I'll
I
keep
probably,
score. I just forgot what I
probably
was
should.
doing. So we're at 1-1, I think, right? Because I won
Yeah,
the first one and you won the second
I think
one.
tracks us with some dice. I think.
Oh, that's a
Uh,
good idea.
if although that may not work because I think we have a cameo here on
Yeah. Do you
screen.
want to introduce your friend?
Yeah, this is well, the backside of Jam, my just recently adopted cat that my partner and I adopted. Jam, do you want to say hello? He's not that interested. I think we're gonna just slide you a little bit.
Yeah.
He was having some good box time just a moment ago. So
Oh, the
uh
tail. I wonder is. I think your camera's wide enough that, yeah, that people could see just the little tail coming up.
he's got such a long straight tail. It's very adorable.
It's good.
Um I forget what I was saying before someone interrupted us. Um,
Oh, keeping score. You were gonna try to keep
oh
score of
yeah,
the
yeah,
dice.
yeah. I might use some dice rather than write them down. Although those might get knocked off. We'll see here, huh? I was gonna say too. I think if I didn't, yeah, not having a comeback kind of feels like admitting that loss. Like sometimes just not having anything to.
Yeah, not having like a thing to say. Um, we kind of described what our characters were wearing and things like that. Do we want to describe more about like what our characters look like? Because I don't know if
Ooh,
we have that much. I know
yeah,
I didn't at all because I was like I was like looking at what we needed to decide and then forgot to think about describing my character.
like physically,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. Do you have a thought on?
Yeah, I know what Padria looks like, which is just that like she doesn't not look like me. She doesn't, you know.
Yep.
Except for probably taller. I think probably like taller and more like muscular. So like if I got like in really good shape to be in a movie and was just taller. um I think maybe that. So she has dark hair. It's probably not in the Ray buns like I have right now. It's probably in like a braid, like a Katniss Everdeen kind of braid. Um and like very like furrowed brow. Like pretty serious looking, I think, right now. But yeah, like pretty tall, big, muscular. Um, but with, I think her expression looks serious, and it's surprising to see that expression on her face because I feel like she has like otherwise like a kind of cheerful looking face. Like maybe like resting nice face. But is, you know, her face is not resting right now. She's looking upset.
Yeah, Tal also, of course, looks not unlike me. Uh, so like brown hair, straight brownish hair. I think it's in much shorter than my current hair. it's like above the shoulders and kind of a sharp bob, I think.
Mm,
Um,
I like that.
like pushed back from the face. Um, though of course when it gets really dramatic, it will flop forward and like cover an eye if we need to, or some
Hmm.
strands across the forehead. Um, and is she's very wiry, I think. Um, it's not the kind of person you look at and think, oh, that's a very like athletic or very fit person. That is, um, they don't look very physically intimidating. But there's a surprising amount of like strength um, behind that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I like that. I think that means we get to decide secretly what we know want our next move to be.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Priority comes back to me. Um, and I think I know what I'm going to do. Do I know what I'm going to do? Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I think I know too.
All right, on the count of three. One, two, three. Oh.
Ooh,
So this time I chose paint and you chose
I
parry.
chose Mary. Yeah,
So
so
it's
you
the
win.
same win but in the reverse.
Right.
I think what it looks like basically is like kind of what my impulse was, which is why I didn't have a comeback last time, which is I think you say like what was it exactly you said? You said you're never
You're never as ready for a fight as you pretend you are.
um and I think that I kind of have like pulled back from you, like in reaction to that I pulled back from you and kind of like looked for a place to hide, and I think I kind of like toss my cape, like kind of like Lando going for a gun or whatever, where you like toss your capelet and like there like your gun is kind of under it. But and like it looks like what I'm going to do is run for a better position and shoot like behind me, like I'm going to like just start going, but it's a feint. I don't actually do that. And so what I do is just kind of like toss my cloak to the side, and turn like kind of like a little bit diagonal from you and get into a better position, but I'm not taking a shot yet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Melanie's here.
Oh, Mel.
Melanie said D&D ended early and I'm here. Melanie actually partially responsible for the stream even happening because she was talking about having played I Have the High Ground and tagged Jess. She played with her partner and tagged Jess, and I was like, I really want to play that game. And then Jess DM'd me and was like, hey, you, you can play it if you want.
Nice.
So hello, Melanie.
Hi, Mel. Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what my attempt at a parry looked like here. Hal's definitely tried to bait Padre into a more aggressive move,
Yeah.
which um so I think it's just getting caught like flat-footed. So she was prepared to defend, and you looked to pretend to run and like set yourself up in a better position. And I think physically it's Padre like or Tal like being caught in between darting forward and backing up and just kind of like freezing for a second.
um Let me remind myself of, because I think I will say something. So with a feint, when I offered provocation or bait and the loser took it. Um, so I think I kind of have moved to like a better position, and like it was like a very quick like flurry, and I think I kind of like almost like shoot you like a smile, and I say, oh, I think I say, you always used to have such a better read on me than that.
Hmm.
And I think even further than I think I say like the old towel like never would have fallen for that.
Yeah, she just sort of snaps back. Well, the old Tao was unprepared for a lot of other things.
I like that, and I think I will take the last word and just say, well, I guess the old towel and the new towel have a lot more in common than I thought. And then we get to choose the next move,
Yeah, yeah.
and you have priority this time.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I think I know what I want.
I um okay, I think I know what I want. All right. Are we ready?
I am ready.
All right, one, two, three, go. We're just doing the same thing back and forth to each other. We only want to do parry and feint. This is a parry and feint only
Which is,
game. But this time
I mean,
you
it makes
you
sense in
win.
character that like neither one of us wants to
Neither
make.
of us wants to attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what does your feint look like this time?
Uh, yeah, yeah. I think. Hmm. Try to think of like emotionally what this is. So you just declare me like really unprepared. Um, hmm.
While you're thinking, I just looked at chat and I forgot the details of Melanie's game, which is Tag played a man who turned out to be completely useless and pathetic. Melanie played a ball droid cyborg. Ball droid, yeah, I said that right. And then Tag said we both looked like Will Arnett, which is the part I had forgotten.
Perfect. Amazing.
No notes.
No
And
notes.
Sierra said,
Questions, but no notes.
yeah. Many questions. Sierra said, I feel like I'm watching the most intense rock, paper, scissors, which is basically, yeah, that is.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Which is a just fantastic mechanic. It's
Mm.
so good. Um, yeah. So Padre is just called Tal, like unprepared or implied that she's unprepared.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things. Um, and I think Tal responds with it wasn't my lack of preparedness that lost us the last battle we fought together.
Ooh. Um, that's good. And I think what I'm going to say defensively is, um, I think I take the bait and I say, at least I still know where Fanya is. Which is, in my mind, implies that you don't know, but that you thought that I didn't know as well. So it's like giving you information of like this person that we both care about. I know where she is, but I've like pretended that I don't.
Yeah. And Hal smiles at that and just says, didn't. No.
Ooh, I like that. That's really good. I think then priority comes back to me, and we'll decide what we're doing. I know what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
Uh, uh, God, this is so intense.
while you decide, this is very cool. Jess just said, um, people are talking about like the mechanics of the game, and Jess said that she was excited when it clicked for her. And fun fact, she checked in with fencer friends and watched videos on competitive fencing to make sure it actually fit how fencing works, and got a thumbs up.
Nice.
It is very cool.
Yeah.
Fencing is where you have like really angsty conversations with people, right?
Based on every movie I've seen. Look, I've seen Princess Bride too many times.
Yeah.
So I assume that
fencing is where you pretend that you're that you're left-handed.
Right. And you just have real homoerotic conversations while like slowly revealing bits of information.
You shake an absurd number of rocks out of your shoe before you start.
just a whole like truckload of rocks. Yeah, you have priority again here.
I have priority again. Oh, you know what? And also I forgot to keep we're at 2 and 2, but I forgot to keep score.
Yeah.
The game's so good you forget that there's a winner and a loser.
You go back and forth until you get off.
Until you both die in real life.
All right, I've decided.
All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Ha! I knew it. We both picked thrust.
I felt right in character.
So a thrust win. I think I technically win this because I have priority.
Yep.
Okay, so with a thrust win, the victor made an offensive move which hit the loser exactly where it hurts. Thrust beats feint, but loses to parry. In a thrust win, the victor's narration should describe a physical action or dialogue that's imposing, biting, or carefully pierces a tender spot, while the losers should demonstrate their hurt. In a thrust tie, both characters attempted aggressive actions, but the player with priority won the turn by being more imposing, their demonstration of wit or prowess overshadowing their opponent's pathetic jab. So I think, okay, so I have a pitch, I think, to determine this, so we'll decide a little bit more about like who Fanya is, or like what the situation is. So what we set up so far is that I knew where she was and you didn't. But wherever she is right now, the fact that I know where she is was enough information for you to also realize. What I'm thinking is that she is whatever you're like associated with, like whatever your like group that you're a part of now, she is afraid of. And so what my thrust will be is that you could know where she is too if you weren't doing the things that you're doing. Like, she wouldn't have to be afraid of you, like, is kind of my thought for it. But that determines some things about your character. So, like, how are you feeling about that?
I like that too, because it doesn't necessarily determine too much about my character's actions, because it could also be a thing of like just where Fanya's mindset is at,
or that like whatever I'm associated with is lying to her. Like, there's a lot of reasons why, like, that doesn't mean like your character's doing anything
right, or even that your character thinks that Fanya.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, like it sets up the term, but it doesn't necessarily like tie our characters down to anything too specific. So yeah, I like that. I think then, because in a lot of these examples, it's sort of the loser like attempting first. And so if you're okay with it, I think that it's Tao saying, like, she just smiled, revealed that now she does know where Fanya is. And they say, now I have enough to save her.
Oh, I think then I'll say, in like that, still basically the same like sentiment I was thinking, but save her, doom her. She's afraid of you, Tal. That's why she doesn't. That's why, like, don't you think if she wanted to be with you, she would be with you now? She's afraid of you. She's afraid of who you've become.
I don't think Tal has anything to say to that.
Yeah.
Like you just see a look of hurt on their face. Like even if they don't quite believe it,
Yeah.
she's still hurt by the implication.
Yeah. That's good. You have priority now. I'm at 3 wins and you're at 2 wins. And we'll both decide what we want to do. I think I know what I'm doing.
Mm.
I just had this thought of like the FBI agent who gets the Zoom chat like transcription being like it's like us talking about something and like us talking about like your mic issues before stream and then just Perry faint Perry like just someone reading this without context.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Fantastic. Um, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, I think I know what I want here.
Okay, I've got mine. So let's send it in. 1, 2, 3, boom. Uh, who wins?
I believe
Oh,
you
I
do.
win. Yep, I
That's
win
the
again.
thing. Ooh.
Okay, so this is another thrust win. But this is our first thrust win that is just a flat out win. So I'll read the win example. The victor takes a firm step inward to which the loser flinches, too intimidated to act. Or instead, the victor might stab with a cunning insult that causes the loser to become visibly upset. The victor might launch into a dazzling retelling of her prowess and marksmanship with which the loser utterly fails to match. Oh, we did read that already because the first one was a thrust win. I just forgot because that was the pre-generated one. So I think having, well, actually, do you want me to describe what my thrust is, or do you want to describe your feint
Mm,
first?
If you have a strong thought on what your thrust is,
I think it's like a thing where I can like smell blood in the water, like your reaction to that, and so I'm immediately like, okay, go in for the kill, obviously metaphorically, yeah, maybe later literally, and I think I just say, oh, what is better? I think I say, um, like I think I do take a step forward towards you, and I say, you know that I'm right, and and you know that like with all of with who you've become, with what you believe now, even if you give up, you can never come back to us. You can never be we can never be what we used to be, and it's because of you that it's like this.
yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think what. Yeah, I think the response is just like an attempt at a shrug and just what makes you think I'd want to go back?
Ooh, I like that. Does your face reveal any any hesitation or lack of belief in you being like, who says I want to go back to those times, those happy
I
days?
think by body language, Padre knows Tal enough to know like this is a bluff.
Yeah,
Like she whether or not she wants to go back, the fact that she couldn't hurts.
yeah. Um, I like that. I think. Um, I think I will again take the final word. Um, and I'm looking at like some of our descriptors to like determine, because I think like I kind of have mentally why I'm doing what I'm doing, but okay. So I said you wouldn't even be able to come back, and you said who says I would want to. Um, and I think I just like kind of sneer and say, you think you can hide your emotions from me, but it's written all over your face. You're not as secretive as you think you are." And I think that's the next move. And what do I want to do next? Okay,
I think
I think I know what I want to do too.
Okay.
I was considering my options, but I think I know. All right. Are you ready to send it?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, send. we both parried. I really thought you were gonna thrust.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's...
But you have priority, so I think you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've done a parry tie yet.
I don't think we have.
I'll read that out here. A parry tie indicates that the character without priority believes that they finally spotted an opportunity in which to counter, but the player with priority wins the turn by patiently outlasting them, parrying the loser's blow to strike their own counterattack. Alternately, the actions of the character without priority might also be misinterpreted as a thrust, a display of genuine emotion or defensive posture. It's read as aggression, which the victor still uses to make a comeback and turn the momentum in their favor.
I think.
Example.
Oh,
do you know
okay,
what? I was going to read out the examples.
Yeah.
The loser takes a cautious step back, trying to draw the victor closer to a trap, but the victor only laughs and tilts her head, belling, "Do you think I'm going to follow you around like a dog? You can fight me on even ground if you're not a coward." Yeah, you have a thought on your...
I do. I think, excuse me. I think because one of my descriptions is open book, and I like the idea of a display of genuine emotion misread as aggression. I feel like fits. So I'm trying to think. Do you have an idea of like what your parry went? Like, did you have any ideas of like what that might be?
No, I kind of wanted to see what you were coming with.
I think what it is I say let's just stop this, okay? We can both I can go back home, you can go back home. You're never going to be able to come back, but at least you won't do something that you regret. And it's like me genuinely trying to like say like we don't have to do this, like, but in what I'm saying, which like this is, you know, we can tweak this or whatever depending on what you think, but my thoughts are that I'm genuinely saying like we can't go back to how things were, but we don't have to make things worse. But you could interpret that as me being like, just let me win, because like if we don't make things worse, then I have what I want, but you don't have what you want.
Yeah. That's exactly how Tal reads it. It's like you're trying, if I give up, you win, kind of thing. Yeah. So you say this, and Tal just sort of scoffs at it. And I don't think I've described my cape yet. We talked about the length.
Yeah, that's right.
I keep forgetting to describe my cape.
Yeah.
So it is a cape, but it is it's like an over the one shoulder. It's not quite symmetrical,
Mm.
slightly longer on one side, so it kind of drapes a little bit over one shoulder. It is a dark blue, like navy cloak, with pinpricks of thread throughout that kind of catch bits of light. Like maybe there's sunlight streaming down or like bouncing off the snow that'll
Mm-hmm.
catch on the cape, and they look kind of like stars. Um, in this like dark cloak, these white light threads just kind of sparkle, look like stars moving about the sky. Um, and I think Tal just kind of settles a little bit more, like taking a position of strength, um, almost as if daring you to come at her, uh, and just says, "You both know we can't go, or we both know that we can't go back. It's too late."
I think then my mind goes to like that we have been putting this off for so long. And so my shoulders kind of slump. I like retreat into myself a little bit. I did kind of describe my cape, but I think it's like very thick. Like this is a cape not to like look cool. This is a cape of like we're in a freezing environment. I want to have like good mobility, so I have this like capelet that's like maybe like fur lined or something like that. So I like kind of retreat into it a little bit. And I think I think what we see is that was a I had hoped that you would accept that. I had hoped that like that would be it. And like even that could maybe be misread further as like oh I'm losing or what. Like not even losing but like I wanted to take my ball and go home and now I'm like upset about it. But like I'm genuinely like was hoping you would be like I don't want to do this either and have some like resignation in reaction to what you're saying and just like kind of nod at like we both know that we can't go back home.
Yeah, I think I want to get the last word in here. And at that, Tal just says, if you thought you could end this with words, you really were fooling yourself.
Yeah. Oof. I think that puts you at 3 points and me at 4 points, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I've got. I think you have
I
priority.
think I do,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
because
I
you
just
just
won the
won with
priority.
yeah, with priority.
Yeah.
All right. Um oh, what
Ugh.
am I gonna pick now? What am I gonna pick? Hmm. We both just fainted. Um.
We just both just parried, I
Oh yeah,
think,
you're
right?
right. You're right. We both just parried. Yep.
Yeah.
We both parried. It's like it's wild that there's only really I mean there's three main choices. There is like a fourth choice of the penalty move, but it's
Mhm.
so hard to pick which one you
No
want
hard
to
to pick.
do.
You're also trying to balance like what feels right in character, and then
Yeah.
it's like, well, if my like I know that's going to lose because in your character, like if
Hmm.
your character knows our characters know each other well enough that like
Yeah.
there's that level of like what will Taylor pick or what will the character Taylor pick for the character. So what would my character think that pick?
Yeah. It's
So many levels to
very
me.
it's very layered. Um Okay, I think I know what I'm gonna do.
Mm, I think so too.
We're
Okay.
so evenly matched right now.
Yeah.
All right. On the count of three, we can send it. One, two, three. Did we
Both
both?
Harry again.
But I have priority this time.
You have priority. So it's another Harry tie broken by priority. Do you know how you want to react, or do you want
If you have something, tell me.
um
But if you don't, we can figure it out. The other thing I was thinking is it might be good to determine a little bit more. Like, okay, this is the obvious thing, but determine a little bit more about like who Fanya is, like what our relationship to her
mhm.
is, and like the obvious thing is that we were a throuple. And
uh,
do we want that?
oh yeah, that's good. So ah I
Because I feel
love
like
that.
that then kind of like determines like more of like things that we would say to hurt each other
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
defend against each other.
I I love that. I'm gonna put it's been an ongoing thing, and it's not always like just the three of us. It's
Oh,
various configurations.
so
It's been a
messy.
whole, yeah. And there have been times when it's been a love triangle, it's been a throuple, it's been just two of us with like one on the outskirts, like
That's really good. Jess says, "Now this is I have the high ground."
yeah.
Now this is pod
Um,
racing, you might say.
this is also, even though I came into this being like, I'm not gonna make it too much Obi-Wan and Anakin. This is Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Amidala. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't come into it with that. I came into it and said, "Listen, a couple days ago I saw TikTok that was a really good edit of Obi-Wan and Anakin." And that's kind of forefront in my mind. Okay, so I really like that it is like a very emotionally chaotic thruple.
Yeah.
Where sometimes we're all three dating each other, sometimes it's only some of us, sometimes it's like there's so many permutations of that, because sometimes it could be that like weird, like we're not all dating each other, but like one of us could be dating both, so it could be like
Well,
we were both dating each other, but like like we need to draw a bunch of diagrams to determine.
the timeline of it is so messy.
It reminds me of when I was in college. There was a friend group that I was like not in, but was like kind of adjacent to, and there was a lot of like obviously people dating each other because that's just like a lot of friend groups in college, but they were like pretty disastrous, and they at one point some of them took a huge whiteboard and made a diagram of like who had dated each other and like broken up and then dated other people, and they called it like it was like in someone's apartment just like kind of semi permanently, and they called it like the web of despair. I think, if I remember
Oh
correctly.
God.
So that's what we're dealing with right now, is kind of a web of despair. Um, Good. um, so okay, so what did we just do? We just did a parry,
We both
double
parried and
parry, but I
you
win.
yeah. Do you want me to make the first move then? Or-
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Because if you have something, like feel
I
free
don't
to.
have anything.
Okay. Um display the genuine emotion and defensive posture and as red as aggression. I feel like that fits again too.
Yeah.
Um yeah. Okay, let's scooch to the side, Jam. Don't block my camera.
Melanie says
Uh,
thruples do love a sword fight.
I mean, everyone loves a good sword fight. Uh, yeah, no, I like the idea that it's the same sort of thing, but flipped. So it's Tal showing some emotion here. Um, and I think she says, I'd hoped it didn't have to come to this either.
Um, I like so with a parry tie, there's kind of a narrative that like there's like a lot like a little bit more of a back and forth, because
Hmm.
it's like one outlasts the other. So I think with you saying like I didn't want it to have to come to this either, I think, um, I just say, um, I'm trying to think of something I could say that you could easily respond to. Um, I think I say like you could have stopped. You could have stopped at any time.
Couldn't have. And you know that.
You could have come back.
It wouldn't have taken me back. You wouldn't have taken me back.
You didn't even try. You didn't even check. You didn't even try to see.
I had to do what I knew was right.
And I think I am taking this as like you're just lying, like you're just trying to seem better than me. And so I think the last word, I'm trying to it's so hard to think of a last word that fits like a parry as opposed to like a thrust. Um Parrying lizard blow to strike their own counterattack. It does say strike their own counterattack. So I think, um what was the last thing you said? I said you didn't even try.
Uh, I had to do what I knew was right.
Oh yeah. Um and I think I say, so you're saying it was right to leave us behind like that. After everything we've been through, you think that was the right thing to do. And I'm just like totally do not believe you. Like you think you're better than me, but you did something that like I can't forgive is like the tone.
Nice. Is that the last?
I
Is
mean,
that the last word?
if you have something to respond, you can.
Hmm. Yeah. Give me that line one more time, or the gist of it.
Yeah. Man, it would be great if I could remember something I just said. um, I think what did I say? I started thinking about what I wanted to say next, and then
Something about
forgot what I had already said.
right, it being right to
Oh
leave you.
yeah. So you think that was the right thing to do? You think it was the right thing to do to leave us both behind after everything we've been through? To leave and not come back, and not only not come back, but to fight against us. You think that's the right thing to do?
You could have come with me.
I think just like disgust. You just see like that's like the return of me just waiting you out is the thought of whatever it is that you that you're doing, which I love that we're like it's like very amorphous.
Yeah,
Is
yeah. So
just
there.
I could never see myself doing that, and like I'm disgusted that you're doing it. And I think that's the last word. That feels like a good parry.
Yeah.
All right. I think I know what my next move is. Do you know what your next move is?
Same. I
All
kind of
right. All
let me
right.
get it. Shut.
Uh, 1, 2, 3. Oops, I didn't actually. That's fine. I wrote thirst and then I tried to correct it, but I
Oh, we
didn't.
never would have been able to figure it out.
So we both got thrust, but you have priority, so you win this one.
Priority. Yeah. Um, which brings
Man,
us to five and
we're at 4 and
four.
5. Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
we love to do the same thing as each other.
we really, really do. Uh, yeah. So it comes down to The thrust win or thrust tie. Thrust tie means that both characters attempted aggressive actions, but the player with the priority won the turn by being more imposing.
Yeah.
Their demonstration of wit or prowess, overshadowing their opponent's pathetic jab. Um,
Ooh.
do you have a thought at what you were? I want to pitch too that physically Padria moves towards Tal, and Tal like I want to bust out this grapple gun that I've got. We're getting into
Oh,
it
yeah.
now. And like grapples over to like a slightly higher,
Ooh.
more of an advantageous spot.
That's good.
So I think that should happen physically.
Yeah.
Do you have a thought on like
Yeah, I think the thing that I was thinking of saying with the thrust was like kind of just more of like your uh, um I think maybe this could make a thrust win if I'm saying like you're so high and mighty, you think you're so much better than everyone else, and just kind of going on that same thing. But maybe this would be a good point, and I'll leave this to you narratively since you won if you have ideas. But like it could be a good point to introduce something more concrete about the schism. Something that you think that I'm not doing that is like unacceptable to you, or something that like whatever I'm associated with or me personally has done that like caused you to leave. Maybe something like that would be good to establish, but it's your win, so it's up to you.
yeah. No, I like that. And I in my head, because we mentioned or I said my thought was that maybe this was like an interventionist versus non-intervention stance.
Yeah.
But that's kind of been the thing rolling in my head that maybe Tao is of the mindset of like having acted on something. And that fits the like reckless versus cautious that we have going on
Mm-hmm.
between the
Yeah.
two of them, where Padria and her, like the people on her side, are like, no, we need to stay out of this fight, or like, or whatever. And Tal was like, no, we have to act.
Yeah. Um
I don't know if this is like we haven't set the full, like, we didn't sit down for hours to do world building. That was
which like
necessary.
I mean, I'm not that good at world building, so even if we did sit down for hours, I don't know if I would have something much more concrete than this. Two people are fighting. I don't know.
The emotional stakes in it, that's all you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I don't know if this is like a sort of rebellion situation where,
Could it be something like could it be something like because I like the idea that this is kind of, and also this is almost a tie-in for the stream on Saturday, which I don't know what the setting for that is going to be, because we haven't done the Session Zero yet. But so this week is kind of a Jess Levine appreciation week on Roll for Felicity, because we're playing this game today, and then on Saturday we're playing Going Rogue Second Edition. And in Going Rogue, there's two different pillars, and I cannot remember what they're both called, but one is like kind of more bureaucratic, and one is more uh like do what needs to be done. It's one of them is called the intelligence, I think. But anyway, they're in the same organization, so it's like not like, oh, there's like, you know, the Imperials versus the rebels. Parliament intelligence, yeah. Just embarrassing that I didn't remember when she's in stream, but good that she knows. But yeah, the intelligence and the parliament, and they're in the same organization in the setting for Going Rogue, and so I like the idea that like I don't know if this is where it is now, but it could be a thing where we're like both part of the same organization, and like what I stuck with was a group that was like, we'll be more defensive. We're not gonna be we're not gonna be going out preemptively and like taking out enemies or whatever like that. Because we did establish kind of like those are war. There's like there is an actual war going on, and so maybe it could be the situation that like caused this fracture is that we were like hunkered down somewhere, and there was something where there were like significant losses on our side, and you had been saying like we need to go like be proactive, we need to like do this. So if we want this to be a thrust where you win, if you wanted to like invoke a significant loss that we like suffered during like whatever that was to prove that like you are morally superior, because like if we would have done what you said, you know, whatever, it's like the so you know Chewie never would have died. um
What if what if Fanya got hurt as a,
yeah, that works too.
like whatever happened?
Yeah, I think that works. So yeah, so I think then my thrust is basically like just continuing like you you like I am like physically moved towards you, you grapple away to another to a higher. I just once I said Yavin 4, all I can think of is those pyramids. I'm just a mess, even though that's not what we said we're at.
I mean, that is what keeps coming to mind. So let's leave it.
So
Look,
you
I came into this being like, look, I'm too obsessed with Star Wars. I need to like tone some of that back. This can't just be me playing Star Wars again. But why try to hide?
why trying to hide what we're doing? So yeah, you like grapple up to like some other like stone parapet. I don't think that's a word. A stone outcropping.
Stone thing.
You jump up to a stone thing, and I'm okay. Now I just thought of something cool that goes along with what we're saying.
Okay.
So I am like, we're still on like the ground, like, you know, the floor, like the ground. I move towards you. You grapple up to a higher place. I am yelling down from below, like, if you were doing the superior thing, if you were doing the morally superior thing, like you're always talking about and always acting like you're so much better than us, then you never would have left us behind. You would have put more thought into it. And I think I, also having a grapple, am going to attempt to grapple up. But I like the idea that, like, whatever you say in response to that, you could also, like, do something so that I fall back down, so that you stay higher than I do. It doesn't have to be that. I feel like I'm being very bossy and just being like, I say this, and then maybe you could. But to be fair, that is what I did when we were kids as well.
That is very true. So it works. And I've made suggestions too. So no, I like that. That's very cool. Yeah. So you're saying like you wouldn't have left us behind. And is it so? Are you grappling up? Like, has your grapple hooked on whatever ledge I'm on?
I think
'Cause I'm thinking, like,
so. I think it's like me chasing you, basically. Like, because that
okay.
also sets up like the same dynamic where you're setting yourself up to be in a good position, and I'm chasing you into it.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think like you say that maybe as you're or right before you grapple up or as you're grappling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just say, if I hadn't acted, all of you would be dead. Fanya, you, oh, we would have lost everything. And I like kick your grapple. And
Yeah.
I think you end up like instead of dropping all the way back down, it's like on a slightly lower ledge.
Yeah. But I think I land like on my back, like fully, like was not expecting you to do that, and I'm at like a significant disadvantage. I like that. Cool. So you're at 4 and I'm at 5 with that win,
Yeah.
and
And
I
think
have priority.
you get priority.
uh,
Ugh. Ugh.
what are we doing? I think I know what I'm doing. Actually, is that what I want to do? I don't know.
Okay.
Huh. The like loudest motorcycle I've ever heard. Just could you hear that on the mic?
I heard something. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what it was,
It's
but
not the window close to me is not even open. It's the bedroom window that's open, I think, and that motorcycle is so loud. Okay, I think hmm okay, I think I know what I'm doing.
uh, okay. Yeah.
All right, 1, 2, 3, send. You win.
Ooh, yeah.
I did
Thrust beats
feint and
faint.
you did thrust. So that brings us
Yeah.
to 5 and 5.
5 and 5. Uh,
Wild.
and thrust win. The victor made an offensive move which hit the loser exactly where it hurts. Thrust beats fate was the parry. And a thrust win, the victor's narration should describe a physical action and or dialogue that's imposing, biting, or carefully pierce the tender spot, while the loser
Good.
should demonstrate their hurt. Um, oh, I think I know what it is then. Uh, I'm trying to think if there's a way. I kind of want to offer you a way back to your feet. I don't know how. Maybe
Ooh. Grapple me.
grapple. Well, I was like, what if I just have some rope that I just like toss down,
Oh,
and
yeah.
as you grab it, like I just kind of give it a tug to pull you back, not up to me, but up to your feet.
Yeah.
Uh, and as you get back to your feet, that or even I'm just like I wait to let you get back to your feet
Mm-hmm.
to show my advantage, and I say, uh, if you truly cared about Fanya like I do, you would have acted to make sure she didn't get hurt.
I don't think I have anything to say to that because I think I also believe that.
Mm,
I think it's like, that's the thing where the thing where you lay awake at night and are like, did I do the right thing? And, like, other than that, I'm like, I think we're right to do this. I think it's like, I don't think we should be making, like, offensive moves towards, like, whatever, this enemy. I like the idea that it's almost like the war that we're involved in, it's almost as though there are three sides to it.
yeah,
There's like a mutual enemy that we both have, but then our side has split into like so it's like the empire and then, like two two rebellions that think different things. Which I really like. That's very interesting.
again on the like deep Star Wars lore nerd
Mhm.
shit. I'm a big fan of the basically anything that has the old Republic slapped on it. And there were some comics that were set like way in the past, and it was that kind of thing. It was like all the formation of the Jedi Order and all, and it is that kind of like just constantly shifting allegiances because everybody's just making all these decisions that they're like disagreeing with, and it's forming these different groups. So yeah, I just love that like
Yeah.
these little duels, like setting everything up.
Yeah. That's good. That puts us at 5 and 5 because I don't have
Yeah.
anything to say in response to that. What are we gonna do next? I think I'll do. Hmm.
Hmm.
It'd be funny if I just like said one and then you you
Yeah,
have to
like,
figure out whether
well,
I'm
then I
like
think I'll
lying
do
or
it.
not.
Yeah, I mean that would be very fun.
That's like an added rule you could do in this game is that everyone says what they're doing. And
I mean,
they.
I think there is a suggestion in here somewhere about like you can talk it out a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more to create a more like if you want to make it a very just like very cinematic. Like I think my character is going to do this kind of thing, like which would be very fun. Um,
Yeah. Um. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do.
I, yeah. Um, okay, I think I do.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
God.
we keep fucking saying just doing the same thing.
So we
Who
both
has
picked fate again.
priority
Priority's
though?
back to me this time, I
Okay,
believe.
I think you're right. So that
Um,
puts it you at 6 and me at 5.
yeah. Ooh, you had a little lead on me
I
for a
did.
bit.
I was like 3 ahead of you for a while, but
I
or
don't think it
2
was
ahead,
three. I
2
think it was
ahead.
two, but it was like you consistently were there. So yeah, faint tie indicates that both characters attempt to bait a response, but the character with priority didn't fall for it, winning the turn by responding. Instead with an even higher stakes ruse, which successfully provokes the loser into losing, revealing
Ooh.
something they didn't intend to.
Ooh, I
For example, the
like
loser minimizes
this.
the victor's war record, but instead of displaying hurt, the victor names an occasion that the loser got their entire squad killed,
That's
causing
funny
the
because
loser
that is like kind of what we
to
just
just
did.
kind of just get that. Yeah.
Is there something that you would want my character to reveal to you? It might be good to like work back, like
Work
you know.
backwards. Um, I mean, we already said that I gained where Fanya is at.
Yeah.
I think the only things that make sense in character, I think of three things, I guess. Fanya's condition, like current condition,
Yeah.
because you said that she was hurt at some point, but we don't know
Yeah.
necessarily. Um, the strength of your side, like who's with you,
Ooh.
or on more personal stakes, like what your emotional state or your real feelings are. Like if you're harboring any feelings, so any sort of feelings at all for me, I guess, like romantic or not, like that could be very interesting.
Yeah. Hmm. The second one I like, but I also do like the third one. Um, I think let's do the third one. I think it's more interesting. I think the interpersonal is more interesting than the
Yeah.
like the act like the world of the what the fighting is. So, um, I think we'll do that. Should I reveal? Should I tell you what it is first? Like what I am revealing? I mean, I know like what I'm revealing, but like like how Padria feels about your character. Or do you want to describe like
Mm.
what you're doing to get to trick me to trick me into revealing it first?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it says the character's priority didn't fall for it, winning the turn by responding instead with an even higher stakes ruse.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. Do you have maybe you have a like a fate?
Yeah, I think okay, so I think what the feint is, I do have this little droid that I haven't described doing anything
Oh
yet.
yeah.
So I think I'm gonna have the droid. The feint will be the droid like projects an image or maybe even like video or something of Fanya where she looks like incredibly hurt. But there's something about it where you're like this and I think I say like um, I think I say, like, fine, do you want to know what all of your ideological purity has gotten you? Because this is what it's gotten you. And I'm trying to make you think that this is current now. Like, this is like a live feed of her. But something about it is like, no, this is not accurate to how she is right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I don't even think I think I Cal picks that up and senses that, which is why she doesn't like take the bait and just responds instead with uh, trying to figure out how to phrase this so that like she's not revealing too much. Um, I think she says like if I hadn't if I hadn't acted on my ideals, she'd be worse off than that. You all would be.
And I think the thing that you see on my face is kind of a my expression hardens and
I'm gonna add two
Yeah.
then, I think. Um, and add like your face hardens, and I say, we all would have lost everything.
Um, and I think the thing that I reveal to you in that moment is that up until now, I have been trying to either get you to quit fighting or get you to attack me so that I don't have to make the decision of like how this ends up.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I think once I see that like pulling on Fanya, who I know that we both love, didn't affect your demeanor at all, that now I'm like, okay, like then we like I have to. Tal has changed so much that she's not who I loved anymore because the person that I loved would have reacted differently to that.
Mm. Mm.
And I think that's what's revealed is that now it's like, you know, the kind of like no more Mr. Nice Guy. Like up until now, I have not wanted to fight you, and that makes me want to fight you. What just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that Padre shows that in body language too, like stance wise?
I think so. Yeah, I think my like my jaw clenches, and I think again I'm kind of like positioning myself where like we've probably sparred enough that you're like, okay, this is what it's like when she's um like almost like not even like I'm going for my gun quite yet, but it's like tactician mode where like I'm kind of like, okay, like where is she vulnerable? Where can I like attack? Like that kind of thing. So like it's almost like my body language changes so that I can draw my weapon, but also I'm not looking at you as someone I have history with anymore. I'm looking at you as an enemy combatant.
Mm. Yeah, and I think Tal just shifts into like a ready stance as well.
Yeah.
Um, and like I think a look flashes across her face that you can't quite read as she settles into a prepared stance.
Yeah. I know what my move is going to be, I think.
I do too. I think you have priority here.
Yes, I think I do. So, all right, 1, 2, 3, go. Yes!
Ah,
I was like, that sounds like Zay is describing that they're gonna parry.
yeah.
And they
So
did.
we for
Yeah. For the
the
people who can't see what we're typing.
yeah
Uh,
we I picked Perry and Taylor picked Fate. So Taylor wins.
I
I
win.
bring it. Tal was
Tie
definitely like,
again. Yeah. So I think I really like this because between like for me it was kind of between like in that moment of like do I like am I pairing am I or, like am I it's either going to be a feint or a parry, right? Because it's like you're an enemy combatant, and I think I'm like cunning and aware enough to be like Tal knows I'm going to attack, so I'll feint. Um so Automod is such a prude. Jess said, love is your personal climax of when I have the high ground game and the results of every move choice and shots of triumph. But Automod held it because of the word climax. And was like, this is a sex-based
Autobot, get your
term.
mind out.
Automod, that's not what it meant. That's not what it meant in this context. um so okay, so a feint win. I offer provocation and you take it. It's like as it's getting more heated, it's so hard for me to remember that we're not actually physically fighting yet.
Yeah.
So what verbal provocation? I think my goal is I want you to come down here and fight me. Like I'm not gonna try to grapple up to you again, but I want you to try to like jump down to me. So I think the feint is I don't even think I say anything. I think what the feint is I You know that I usually fight with like a blaster, but I think I reach as if I have a different sort of weapon, like a close up weapon. Like, probably not like a whatever lightsaber, but like a whatever, a vibra sword. The other type of blade, sci fi blade in Star Wars. So I reached for like maybe like if I had a like a hilt or something like on my like thigh or like on my like leg or something like that, and I reached for that, but there isn't anything there. But you do fall for it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, hmm. I'm parrying, not thrusting here,
Yeah.
but I think this is
The faint win example is the victor brings up their opponent's embarrassing loss to the last seeded boxer in the first round of the world tournament. Or the victor might bait them into revealing a vulnerable feeling they've kept secret so far. Alternatively, the victor may fake a reach for their weapon, causing the loser to overreact, so the victor may stutter step towards the loser, causing them to take an embarrassingly unnecessary stride backwards.
yeah. Okay, so I think Tal is definitely overreacting here in a like, oh, this is going to come down to blows that I don't need to be at a distance. Um, and maybe it's not coming all the way down to where you're at, but it's like down to the next. There's like a level between
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
So it's like jumping down to a position of like, I'm not coming down to attack you, but this is me trying to settle into what I think is going to be a better spot to parry your blow, and it doesn't come, and now I'm actually in a worse spot.
Um, I feel like that's a good resolution for that move, and I think I do know what my next move is gonna be.
Okay, okay. Let
Um,
me. I'm gonna put just to make it slightly more cinematic. I think it's Tao like jumps down to a spot and the snow shifts under her feet. It's like icy there, and she
yeah.
has to like jump again to another spot that is just
Ooh,
not as
yeah.
advantageous. Clearly, it's slick here. I'm still higher, maybe, but I'm not. I don't have the advantage that I did have.
Yeah, you have like some insecure footing. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um. Mm. I have priority again here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. I don't know that I like this, but okay.
All right. Uh, if you're ready,
Hmm.
1, 2, 3, go. Yep.
We both picked
We
thrust once
both
again,
picked thrusty, but you have priority.
but I have priority, so I'll take. I was
I have.
really gonna,
Do you have something in mind?
not really. If you have a thought.
I have a pitch because I was thinking you're at 7 points. I was thinking maybe so normally you played a 9.
Mhm.
But you have an out at 9:30, which we are getting closer to than I thought we would. So I was already thinking we could bump it down to 8 points, since you would be at
Oh,
7 and I would be at 6. And if we do that and you hit 7, which this is already kind of what I was thinking of doing, so I think it works. Um, there is a part for drawing your weapon. Characters can draw their weapon at any time. However, if one player reaches 8 points on a turn, their opponent must draw their weapon during that turn's description. If we're bumping it down by 1, then 7, you hitting 7, would be me drawing my weapon.
you have to.
Um,
Yeah. I'm good either way. Playing to 8 or 9. It's not quite a hard out, and we're moving pretty quickly now, so I'm good either way. We'd have what, a
uh,
max of like 4 more rounds.
yeah.
No, I'm good either way.
I will draw my weapon definitely. I think either way, because you can
Okay.
do
You
it,
yeah, you
like
can do it.
even if
Yeah,
it's
it
not that, even if it's not because you hit 8 points. So yeah, I think I draw my blaster. Seeing this vulnerability in your position, and me having already decided that, like, we're gonna kill each other. Like we're not walking out of this, or at least one of us won't. I draw my blaster. But you do win this round.
yeah, yeah. Thrust type. We both act aggressively, but I am more imposing. Hmm. Do you think you have a verbal thrust?
I wasn't thinking it. I was thinking almost like my mindset is like I actually, maybe this is just what I say, like it's just like, okay, we've talked enough, and I like I draw my blaster and then, because obviously if I said that you would know. Like if I'm like, we've talked enough, and then I draw my blaster, so I think it's simultaneous, like we've talked enough, and I am pointing my blaster at you, my laser gun.
Yeah, and I think Tal like again stands up straight and like unclips her cloak and like tosses it into the wind. Uh,
Ooh.
like, and I said it covered one shoulder, and I think I originally thought right, but I'm gonna say it's the left and like where my blade is. So like now my blade on my hilt is exposed.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
so I like unclip it and let it float away in the wind. Um, and I'm trying to figure out exactly. I know the sentiment. I want to figure out how to phrase this. Um,
That's like playing this game.
yeah, yeah.
I know the sentiment.
Uh, it would help if I was better at banter. I think Tal says you were always quick to give up on words.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, I think since it's a win, I think the only thing I can do is, oh, you know what I think it is? You say that, and like you've revealed your like weapon, but I think also because you had your cloak on, this is the first time that I see the greaves that you're wearing are the ones that I gave you. And so you saying that thing of like familiarity to me, and then me seeing like this, this thing that I gave you that at the time was like so much of my resources that I just wanted to protect you, and I falter.
Yeah. I think I see that you're looking at them. And I just like I look down and I think it's just a sad smile on Tal's face. Um and like a flex to like position them in front of me a little bit, like protecting. Like
Yeah.
you if you take I can use the gift that you gave me to protect myself here.
Yeah.
And I am
Uh,
pretty sure I know.
what you're gonna do next?
Yeah.
I wish I did. I have priority, right?
Yes, I believe so.
um, I think I'm going to. I think I know what I'm going to do. All right. If you know what you want, then let's do
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, send. Oh no.
Yeah, I
Uh,
picked a thrust, and we gotta show off all the parts of the game.
yeah. I was
Move.
I was thinking about doing that too, but I didn't. I didn't think it fit like where my character was. Yeah, do you want to
It
read
feels
the
it
read
feels
what you're
right
doing?
here. Yeah. Um, A penalty move represents your character choosing to utterly disrespect their opponent. You're welcome to interpret what counts as a penalty move flexibly, but the most common examples are inspired by real penalties from competitive fencing. You turn your back to your opponent or intentionally disarm yourself, signaling to your opponent that you do not even consider them a threat worth engaging with. In this game, turning your back must imply you are physically signaling or verbally declaring your intent to walk away from the duel. Similarly, to count as a penalty, you must meaningfully disarm yourself of your primary weapon, not just sheath it, signaling your intent to abandon the duel in favor of communication or departure, or to imply you do not need the weapon to best them. Such actions are discourteous and rude, and as such, a penalty of form in a proper duel, but a dramatic moment in any narrative.
Very
So
good.
a once per game move, and instead of one of the other ones, I roll 2d6. If I roll above my current score, which is a 7, I fall my or fail, and my opponent scores 1 point and has priority next turn, even if they had it this turn. If I roll below my current score, I succeed and score 2 points. And if I roll exactly my current score, I fall in an exceptional way, and my opponent both scores a point and may strike a physical blow against me.
Exciting.
So, yes, score is 7, and I will roll a 4 and a 1.
So you succeed and score 2 points. So you win.
I win.
Regardless of if we're going to say 8 points or 9 points, you win.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh, and I mean, you can determine what your response is, but I think it is like you've pulled your weapon. I threw my cloak aside. You've you've seen my like the protection on my arms, the armor. Yeah, I think Tal just shakes her head. Uh, and uh, yeah, shakes her head and says, I had harbored hope that we could work this out, but it won't be decided by words. I have to do what I know is right. And like just turns to walk away.
I have to lash out in such a way that you cannot help but turn back around with a result below your current score. When I narrate my reaction, the intensity of it should betray some kind of vulnerability that gives you the upper hand. And I think I know exactly what it is, which is you said like I know what I have to do, like I know what's right. And I think I still have like my gun out. Um and I think as you're like walking away, it makes me so angry that I offered you this option before and you didn't take it. And now, when it's like we're actually gonna fight, you're like just basically being like, oh, this isn't worth my time anymore. And so I say the meanest possible thing that I can think to say to you, which is, as my gun is pointed at you, I say, both of us had to choose to stop loving you. It wasn't easy, but we don't.
Hal doesn't turn around, but stops walking and says, and I choose to keep loving you, which is why I'm doing this.
Bummer. It's a bummer to say. um, if you reach 9.0 in the game, which you have, my response is integrated into the resolution. Uh, and if you block my attempted blow in the resolution, your block should occur suddenly and unexpectedly. For example, she may make a sprinting strike at your retreating back when, in an almost imperceptible flash, your cape fluttering in the arm from the speed of your pivot, you meet her blade with your vibrasword, blocking it mid-swing and leaving her horribly off balance. A bad place to start the battle, which narratively follows your now concluded game. Do you want to read the resolution, or do you want me to read it?
Um, I can read it. Um, When a player reaches 9 points, they win. The duel resolves. In response to the winning move, the loser is finally compelled to act and they attempt to strike the first blow. This could be the result of a loss of patience, the necessity of time, or simply that they feel there's nothing left to say. The loser can act on any motivation that feels natural, though they should try to make their character's reasoning satisfying to the winner. The loser should narrate this attempted blow and may include dialogue. However, the last word goes to the winner. The winner narrates the reaction to the blow and reserves the right to parry or block the loser's strike. The winner may also choose to take that blow, whether to demonstrate how little it affects them or simply because they find it more narratively satisfying. If the winner does wish to parry, it can be helpful for them to communicate their intent to do so before the loser narrates the blow. For example, a mace bounces off the winner's shield, a lightsaber meets the sudden flash of a second saber, locking them together while sparks fly. Uh,
Um,
yeah.
I already have my gun out and pointed to you. You said you didn't turn, like you looked back, but you didn't completely turn back towards me.
I think it was like a stop walking and like a tilt of the head, but not turning around.
Um, and I think I just because the last thing you said is like I choose to keep loving you and like I'm going to do what's right because I still love you, and I think I just say like you've broken our hearts and you can't come back from that, and I fire.
Hmm. I have two minds of the reaction. Yeah, you fire, and I think because Talon stopped and had her like her sight turned towards you, and she hadn't turned around. She parries, but not with her sword. It's with the armor that
Uh
that Padria gave her so long ago. Uh, I think just leaving like a horrible gash across like this armor on her arm.
yeah. Ugh. Do you have anything else that you want to narrate as the winner, or do we want to end
Oh,
with that?
yeah, I think she blocks it and like looks down at just at the like the steaming crack across this armor. Uh and like I think it's her left arm and she flexes it and then her right hand reaches for her saber. And that's where we fade.
That's where we do a wipe, a star wipe.
We're right. We cut to see what yeah, we
We
no, it's a swipe. I pull my saber out, then it's a
oh
flash.
yes, of course it swipes across the
It's a wipe.
screen. Yeah.
And we cut to the big battle that's going on. Like
Perfect.
uh
That's our game of I have the high ground. Oh my gosh, I did almost start crying, and I
yeah.
didn't because
Hey, hey y'all. Good game.
good game.
Good game. Jess, good game. Very good game.
Just you made a game for us
Maybe.
specifically.
Yeah.
Weirdly, the two of us. No, that's not true. You've made a game for everyone.
Yeah. No,
Anyone
this
can
is a
play
very
this
good
game.
game. It was just perfectly suited to art history.
Um, yeah, if you are watching this and you don't already have this game and you would like to, you can get it for yourself online on it. And earlier, I think Jess linked the physical copies, but I have links turned off. So I am going to track that down. While Zay, you can tell people other stuff you have going on, anything you want to plug before we wrap up.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it, but I'm just gonna throw another pitch for this game. This is the first time I've gotten to play it. I've been wanting to play it really badly since Taylor got it for me for my birthday. Uh, Real good game, y'all. Go get it. I have the physical copy which Taylor got me, and it is really pretty. Just like I love the art in there and the layout. It's a really nice little game. It's great. So yeah, absolutely track this game down and go have some real good heartbreaking drama. Like it's excellent. If you're looking for games, I also write some games. You can find those at on itch at Wild J Blue. I have a few games out. I write weird, sad little games, or goofy games. I have two moods. They're sad or goofy or both. So yeah, you can find my games. They're either real cheap or pay what you want. Go check those out if you'd like. Also, if you want to hear me talk about games or Star Wars or being a dramatic little bitch, you can follow me on Twitter at WildJBlue, or also Tumblr at WildJBlue, I believe. I've been using that a little bit more as well. So yeah, follow me there if you'd like to see me. I try not to talk about Star Wars too much online because it brings out the worst people. But if you ever do
Yeah.
want to
Oh my
check
gosh,
Star
that's
Wars,
true.
I
That's
have
true.
opinions and I know too much about it. So hit me up.
Okay, hang on. I'm still figuring out. There is a way to just
I
prevent.
can keep rambling
Yeah,
if you'd like.
keep rambling for like
I'm good at
just a
that. If there's
second.
one thing I can do, I was worried about bantering, but I can ramble. So
Ramble,
I,
banter, do it
I can
all, do
I
it
could
all.
I could just talk about my favorite bits of Star Wars or how I read like every single one of the Legacy Expanded Universe books when I was a teenager, which I probably shouldn't be admitting online, but I have. So too late to take that back. Um,
It's too late.
it's too late, which is usually what happens when you put me on videos. I just say things I shouldn't, not because they're bad, but because I'll be embarrassed about them later.
Okay, I think I put the right links in chat. Um, and then I also did the itch link. So if you go to Jess's website, or sign up for her newsletter, which I highly recommend, you should do both. You can do that there. And then also, let me get a link to Zay's games. You can follow. I didn't put your Tumblr, but I have your Twitter and your itch in chat. So you absolutely should do both of those things. Zay's games are very good. We did, if you are interested in seeing what Zay's games are like, they did guest run a game of totally normal human roommates. I almost said human vampires, and I was like, that's explicitly not what it is. Totally normal human
They're
roommates.
definitely not vampires.
They're
Definitely
definitely
completely
not
human.
vampires. Um, so we did run that, and I think the VOD is up on YouTube. I'm behind on my VODs right now, but I'm pretty sure that one made it in. And if you liked this game, you should come back here on Saturday because we're going to be playing. Unfortunately, not with Zay, who wasn't available for it, but we're going to be playing Going Rogue, which is a belonging outside belonging game inspired by Andor and Rogue One. I'm super excited for that. And you can also get that game on itch, or if you check out Jess's website, you can see it there as well. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to say. Oh yeah, if you want to follow me on Tumblr, so I'm still on Twitter, but like obviously Twitter kind of slowly dying. So I am pivoting more to Tumblr, which is nice because I'm doing some more like long form writing. So the most recent thing that I wrote, and I'm hoping to write more stuff like this, honestly, is an article about the combat in the D&D movie and the thoughts that I had in reaction of D&D's actual combat, because I was like, the combat in the movie is nothing like combat in D&D, and that's like really interesting. Basically the thesis is D&D combat is not super narratively interesting. Which it doesn't have to be, but it's not. But yeah, so you can check that out on my Tumblr. And I think I have a bot command for that. Yes, my Twitter, my Tumblr, and then you can see other VODs of games that I've played on YouTube. I also have a Discord where I've been playing some pickup games of Usaba's Bed and Breakfast, so if that's something that you want to do, join my Discord. I think that's everything that I need to say. So I think we can say... let me quick see if there's anyone that I can read. I should have been doing this as well. I'm just a scattered lady today. Oh yeah, let's read Fuzka. Fuzka's live right now, and she was in chat earlier, and she's great. Actually, she doesn't even know this yet, but I am kind of hoping to have her on stream soon. So, so let's do raid. Fuzka. I'm pretty sure that is the right. They are playing Dungeons and Dragons. So when you get over there, if you, Melanie already so helpfully put the raid messages in chat to say hello. If you are not a subscriber, you can copy and paste that first message that has the little like raid emote. And if you are a subscriber for Roll for Felicity, meaning that you pay money to Twitch for this channel, you can copy and paste the second message when we get over there to say hello. So I think with that, we're going to be done for now, and I will see people on Saturday, because I don't think I'm going to stream tomorrow. So Zay, do you want to say goodbye to the chat and goodbye to the YouTube VOD?
Yeah, goodbye, chat. This is amazing. Get this game.
Yes, get this game. Goodbye, everyone!